where you're joining us from around the world. So my name is Martin Baya. I'm the secretary of the Adebisi Babatunde Thomas Entrepreneurship Institute and also a doctoral fellow at Strathmore University Business School and a PhD candidate at the University of Pretoria. It's my delight to welcome you to today's event, a celebration of our father, the late Professor Babatunde Thomas, and the pre-launch of the new kid on the block, the Africa Young Trade Program, an outfit that is coming out of Strathmore University, courtesy of a cohort of students who have been inspired by many actors, including Professor Babatunde, through all those he left behind. And today we will also be celebrating a set of young individuals from the Kennedy School, Kitengela, who have been inspired by one of our trustees, Teddy Warrior. It's an absolute delight to be here, and we are very privileged also to be joined by our chief guest, Dr. Mary Okello, the director of P&M Investments, but better known as the founder of Makini Schools. Karibu sana, Dr. Okello. And then finally, we have Teddy Warrior, who is the trustee I mentioned earlier. And we're also very, very privileged to have the 4 students who will be telling us a little bit more about AYTP. Diana Owor, Favor Shananel Rovio, Francis Makoha, and Raquel Ikuria. With that, I wanted us to begin today's session by just acknowledging those who are present here. The event is being live streamed on YouTube. It's being recorded. But I wanted to acknowledge those who are with us in the Zoom room. We had a limited cohort joining us. Berry Lotieno, Karibu Sana. Asfao, absolute delight to see you. Masi Kamau, welcome. Dr. Manu Chandaria, excellent to have you here right from the beginning. Chantal Nyakio, Clevon, Kirago Katrasambili, you're all welcome in this smaller gathering that is being projected to a larger group. We're expecting to have a peak of about 30 or 40 by the end of today's session, joining through the different media. With that, Dr. Sambili, I would like to invite you not only to welcome us, but to give us an welcome Madam Nados Bekele Thomas, who is really our convener here as we celebrate the late Professor Babatunde Thomas. Karibu sana, Dr. Sambili.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to really say how pleased we are as the Update family and trust to be able to welcome all of you today. The Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Mary Okello, distinguished participants of today's event, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this important event. It is particularly important because it is the first of its kind to be held virtually. We haven't done this before, so there would be mistakes and shortcomings here and there. It is particularly important also because we are having a get-together after a long time when we've been a bit quiet. So I think that we are very pleased once again to be able to gather, even though we are not having the numbers that we are used to having, but today it may be a little less than usual because of the logistics. I wish to thank you all for taking the time and the trouble to sign in online and on a Saturday morning when many of you could have been taking it easy or taking a walk or sporting. So we don't take this for granted. Welcome, and we hope you stay on to the end. Once again, maybe as I start, I should just say the objectives of UPDATE have remained the same. First, I wish to say for those who are new, and also perhaps to remind even those of us who have been with UPDATE for a longer time, that APTE is a non-profit organization. It is a trust founded in 2016 by the late Professor Adebisi Babatunde Thomas, who was an eminent African personality. We don't have time today to say much about his life, but very much well-known personality in Africa. Worked with the UN and did many other things as a great advisor to governments. The objective of the APTE organization is to expand and strengthen African economies by giving the youth and women the skills they need to be profitable, to profitably self-employ, and also to create employment. We know that there is so much unemployment in our society, in our African continent, and really the way forward is if we can create the jobs ourselves. So APTE hopes that we can really pioneer this area and pursue this area successfully in terms of helping those youth who are set on this journey of entrepreneurship to be self-employed profitably, and also to be able to create employment for others. This we believe will be done through supporting incubation of innovative ideas by mentors, by mentorship in which mentees under guidance are helped to design and to undertake self-directed and self-paced practical learning uniquely customized to their own needs. That is one area that, one area we really believe that we must do. The second is to offer unique and innovative short-term entrepreneurship programs, like some of the courses we've already done in the past. And also to offer business development solutions to businesses that are already existing. Indeed, there is there's a lot going on, of course, as we all know, in many of our schools, business schools across, say, this country or even African continent, in the area of entrepreneurship. APTE does not wish to duplicate these initiatives and these very well-established institutional strengths. But we want to utilize our own niche strengths and endeavor to hold hands of the youth and the women who purpose to become entrepreneurs. Ours is to pick it up where the schools, most of the schools leave it, to hold hands and to guide entrepreneurs along the road of the how-to. In the last 1.5 years, for example, 2 of our trustees, namely Martin Bayer and Teddy Warrior, have been engaged in designing and teaching courses and mentoring students along these lines that I have just outlined. I'm sure they will speak to this later. Since inception, APTE has made progress in pursuit of its objectives, albeit at a slower pace than we had anticipated. We carried out our first training on entrepreneurship and business skills in 2016. We then supported Youth Plus initiatives for 2 years, and thereafter focused our energies on establishing the institutional infrastructure. Particularly, we focused on the memorial events, especially the annual lecture series following the passing on of our founder. We organized such events, memorial events, start in New York. We did another one in Agra and also in Nairobi. The idea was to highlight and especially to publicize the founder's vision through annual lecture series that commemorate and articulate issues that were very dear to Professor Thomas in contemporary society. In these events, we appreciate very much the participation and the honor accorded to APTE and the family of Professor Babatunde by high-level personalities from across Africa. Notable among them being Her Excellency Salif Johnson, former president of Liberia, who delivered a keynote speech in 2018 lecture series. The lecture was tapped Intergenerational Dialogue. Her Excellency, the First Lady of Kenya, Mama Margaret Kenyatta, also graced that occasion. Several cabinet secretaries, governors, county governors from Kenya, and high-ranking officials of governments from Kenya and neighboring countries within Africa, and the UN, the business community, Techstar members, among others, and charitable foundations, including our very close friend of the Ford Foundation, among others. Owing to significant transitions among key members of the APTE leadership, and later the shocks of COVID-19, we regret that this really slowed APTE's activities in its journey in 2019 and 2020. We are glad, however, that with the easing of the effects of the pandemic and with better availability and adoption of technology like the Zoom, we are now able to resume our activities. We appreciate your support, everyone who is here today and those who may not even be able to join us, and look forward to more engagements in the future as we carry out our more of our activities. We thank partners who have supported APTE financially and in hosting our events. With these remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to say thank you very much. I hope that we will all stay on and listen to all the deliberations of the day, and especially the address by the chief guest. Thank you very much and welcome again. Asante.
Thank you very much, Chair, for those remarks. And I would like to invite Madam Nados Bekele Thomas on behalf of the family. We've got many youth who want to know who was Professor Babatunde. We want to know who the man was, a man of action. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you very much, Martin, our son, our adopted son, together with Teddy, who is joining us. Thank you really for holding the fort, and thanks very much, Professor Sambili, for these inspiring words and for clarifying what APTE stands for, and for reassuring us that APTE's mission and vision are still alive, and they are being implemented by both, University of Strathmore, but hopefully, the seeds will spread into the other universities. And I would like to say good morning, warm welcome, but good morning to my sister, Dr. Mary Okello, who stands by our side throughout since 2016, and who is now our chief guest. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And all the participants in your diverse, capacities, but mostly, friends of APTE and friends of my husband and myself and the family. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Short notice, yes, and that's why the numbers are limited. And also, to some extent, today being Saturday, it's very difficult to galvanize the support that we needed. But for sure, there are many, many other family members that are everywhere, especially in the States, who could not join us because of the time difference. So I'm sure, later on, the recorded message would go to them so that they still stay part of this ceremony today. I would like also to really recognize Dr. Manu Chandaria, an old friend. I mean, from way back to the 80s, and all those that contributed to the APTE and to the foundation. You know, Arun, who used to be the CAM chairperson, he's not here today. I don't know why, but you know, he's one of our staunch supporter. The KCB CEO Joshua and the Ford Foundation, and all those that have come to support us. Today, you know, I would say 5 years after the creation of APTE, I would like to say thank you very much. Thanks for holding our hands. Thanks for sharing our vision and mission. Thank you very much. And we look forward to a strengthened APTE to help countries evolve and develop with the injection of youth energies in the socioeconomic transformation of our continent. Who was Babatunde, Adebisi Babatunde Thomas? Well, you know, I don't think I have words as his survival to express him, and emotion engulfed me, because Prof was, you know, a very special, unique person. But I would like to really read the eulogy that was given and delivered by His Excellency, the President Uhuru Kenyatta, which succinctly, you know, not clarify, but, you know, which succinctly depicts who Prof was. And I would read it directly from his message. You know, with your indulgence, please bear with me. This is the message from Uhuru Kenyatta, you know, sent to us and delivered by his chief of staff then, Mr. Joseph Kinwa. So, you know, I'll just quote part of it. He quotes, Professor Babatunde, Adebisi Babatunde Thomas was a renowned academician, a prolific intellectual, and I must say, one of Africa's greatest scholars. Professor's brilliance raised him to the apex of scholarly distinction, where he earned respect and following among his peers globally. Indeed, Professor Babatunde Thomas's appointment to serve prestigious global and continental organizations demonstrates the respect and confidence the world attached to him. In spite of his great achievements, Professor Babatunde Thomas remained amiable and humble. Those who knew him benefited immensely from his selfless leadership, wisdom, and generosity. In his service, he interacted with a large constituency of youth whom he endeavored to transform into a major asset to the continent. The Adebisi Babatunde Thomas Entrepreneurship Institute, APTE, which he launched on January this year, signifies his strong resolve to uplift the youth across Africa. And he goes on by saying, Kenya will forever be indebted to him for the role he played in improving the country's youth. We will forever treasure his support towards achieving our shared dream through the continued partnership of Adebisi Babatunde Thomas Entrepreneurship Institute and the Strathmore University. We will always cherish Professor Babatunde Thomas as a noble gift from God, for he leaves an enduring legacy that should be emulated by all. So, unquote. So, you know, today, that's exactly what we are doing. We are continuing with his legacy and emulating, you know, all his actions, his spirit, and his values. I would like to add that besides, you know, what we know about Prof today, Prof was a person who really believed, not only believed, but selflessly sacrificed his life for the continent's development. From the very beginning, he believed in two major things. In the 1980s, he believed that Africa's socioeconomic transformation would really depend on two major things. One is the youth capacity, the energies of the youth, and utilizing these energies and injecting them in the development processes, because he found, I am sure my sister Mary, you would agree with me, he found out that, as a professor teaching in universities, that sometimes universities and learning institutions in Africa are becoming more and more irrelevant to the socioeconomic transformation. Why? Because the development planning of these countries does not really look at, capacity assessment of the country and match it with the fields of expertise, skills that it requires to implement the plans. And he believed that the plans remain as plans without being implemented, because we never build the capacities that we require to implement them and to make them actionable. And therefore, he was a staunch believer of making universities and learning institutions relevant to the socioeconomic development. That's why the APTE came into place. The second thing that he was focusing more on was agriculture, but agriculture not from the perspective of production, but looking at the entire food system, from farm to fork, he used to say, what is on our plate. So, the whole food system was his engagement and his preoccupation over the years. And as such, he was helping an NGO, which later on became the Center of Excellence, the Songhai, and he was an advisor to the Songhai Center of Excellence, but he was really, really a person who was lobbying for a sustainable agriculture and making sure that the food systems work so that children in schools are given nutritious food. And, he extended it to all what we call school feeding systems, nutritious food for families. And therefore, he really looked at lives and livelihoods together. And he was just a visionary, an intellectual who always had advanced ideas, which sometimes became very difficult for others to follow. And this was my husband. Now coming to APTE, and I'm so glad, Prof, your leadership is incredible. You have been really the pillar of the APTE together with the two active members, which are Teddy and Martin, who are our children. So they have the obligation of really carrying on the legacy, but also with Professor Spelling and Professor Louis, who is now in Commonwealth. In addition to that, what I would say about APTE is that, APTE in the long term, Prof used to see it as a sort of a clearinghouse, a knowledge building, a repository of knowledge. Because as the Professor Sambili just said, there are many, many institutions, many NGOs, many civil society organizations that do nothing but entrepreneurship training, business skills development, being, also an incubation center, and so on and so forth. But, each and every institution does, its own work, develops the modules, whatever, but this knowledge is not built upon, and therefore, there is no place where there is a reposition of all this knowledge so that, this knowledge is transferred easily, but also built on, so that we build on what works and discard what didn't work. So, it's also has this vision of being, a knowledge center for entrepreneurship, enterprise development, and not only focusing on youth, but also on women. The second thing which he was focusing on was on science and technology, using technology to leapfrog, and being, the person who actually initiated the African Regional Center for Technology far back in the 80s, just after the Lagos Plan of Action. And he was the executive director of the Africa Regional Center for Technology over 8 years, until it was built, and he transferred it to the next generation. He was really a staunch believer of science and technology. And he was a staunch believer of making sure that women go adventure in STEM. So he pushed all these children to go to engineering and science. And therefore, these are the two things that he was really keen in addition to all what has been stipulated and articulated by Professor Sambuli, that Prof was, hoping that the APTE would do. So now as we go forward, I think, APTE, like Prof, you just said, the seeds are planted and they were being nurtured at Strathmore. But our hope is that the same seed would go into the various institutions and virtually become, the locomotive for transforming the job seekers into job creators. And therefore, once they graduate from schools, in each school, this institute will provide the skills that they require so that they can go and start their own businesses based on their fields of expertise. And I hope, we will be able for the coming 5 years to do that, not only in Kenya, but also in the rest of the world. And why not in the rest of the continent for 10 years and the rest of the world? And therefore, I want to just end by saying thank you very much for all what you have done, all of you who've been supporting APTE, and we hope that the next generation will be inspired by the work of APTE and would benefit from the work of APTE and make sure that the legacy of my professor, Babatunde Thomas, lives on with us. It's an intergenerational effort. And like he always says, a parent is successful when it sees his children being better than, the parents themselves. So, we hope that, the next generation, we will feed them and nourish them and make sure that we will equip them with whatever they want so that they become better citizens than what we are today. And thank you very much for this day. God bless you all. Thanks very much. His legacy lives on. Thank you.
Thank you, Nados. Thank you.
Thank you, Nados, and thank you for those inspiring words. Chair, over to you.
To me? Okay. All right. I think, thank you very much.
Just to thank Madam as our chair as we move to the next part of the program, I wanted to, just for you to share some final words.
Well, thank you very much, Martin. Obviously, we all really want to say thank you, Nados, for taking us back to reminding us in a very clear and very inspiring way the journey that Babatunde walked and how he really lived his life for others and for this continent, and really the befitting role that he bequeathed to us to carry on that mission of transforming Africa through supporting the youth and the women. So I think you put it so well, we wouldn't really want to add anything more. Thank you very much. I think we can move on to the next set of events. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. And with that, then we shall move to the second part of the. Yes, thank you, Chair. And I think with that portion having discussed APTE, we shall move to the next part of the program, where we want to talk about two activities that have been undertaken by trustees, myself and Teddy Warrior, in the spirit of APTE. Teddy, if you're with us, I'll hand over to you to tell us about the book you've written, Son of the Nile, the young individuals you've been mentoring at Kennedy School, Kitengela. And then a little bit later, I'll talk about my own experience at Strathmore University Business School, teaching in the BCom program and working in different student activities and getting a sense of the impact of youth. Teddy, without further ado, the floor is yours. Over to you.
Thank you, Martin. I hope you guys can at least see me. I'm joining from Kisumu, and I'm very happy to be here today. So Mama, yeah, thank you for the amazing tributes that you have given to Professor Babatunde. I felt it was inclusive, grassroots based, and also truly Pan-African, as the man was himself. And just mentioning briefly about the man and the person of Babatunde, I'm always very delighted that he also married the daughter of the Nile, uh, the Queen of Sheba, Madame Nados Bekele Thomas. That gives me a lot of joy because the title of my book is actually Son of the Nile, because I get my roots from both the Nile and also my strength. So I'll just briefly read two stanzas of my poem, which is in the opening of the book, and then I'll let the students from Kennedy School, led by their head learner, Masi Kamau, to share what they have. So my book, Son of the Nile, is dedicated to all the youth of Africa and the rest of the world. This is for you as you find your own path, rooted in your origin, unique voice, and personal life story. In the front page, Martin wrote for me the preface, which is called Together, Reflecting on the Powerful Flow of Our Rich African Narrative. And for everybody who is on the call today, I'm going to send them a complimentary copy of the book as an ebook after this event. The front cover of the book has a picture of Martin, myself, and Mamaye. I don't know if you can see it. It may not be very clear, but at least you see we are right. She's right in the middle, and both Martin and I are protecting her, not just on that day, but forever, God allowing us. So I'll just read the introduction quickly, and then actually the end of the introduction so that we can save time. The introduction was written by Brent Edward Whitted from the United World College. It says, by rewriting this narrative in poetic form, Teddy encourages new voices, younger and older, to retrace their own journeys by seeking and making connections, observing patterns through real-world experiences that reveal our interconnectedness as fellow river travelers. And the hope of doing that is that in the book, I've also provided templates so that to encourage you and to challenge you to write your own stories for the benefit of posterity and for the benefit of your immediate family. As much as I've written part one of The Son of the Nile in praise of the children of Luo, which I'm part of, part two of the book is called Spirit of Africa, Global Africans and Change Makers. And the book is dedicated to the late Professor Adebisi Babatunde Thomas. And the book will be released on January 20th next year, commemorating when we first launched Abtei 6 years ago. I've written my entire lineage for the last many years, so I'll just read it quickly because of time. Prologue, Wodluo, African lineage. Warrior was the son of Odegi. Odegi was the son of Miri. Miri was the son of Obuya. Obuya was the son of Ogi. Ogi was the son of Abur. Abur was the son of Gonglo. Gonglo was the son of Sawo. Sawo was the son of Rewe. Rewe was the son of Minua. I'm actually taking this call from Kaminua village. Minua was adopted by Odul, and I was, of course, adopted by Professor Adebisi Babatunde Thomas and Mama Nados Bekele Thomas. Odul was the son of Bianga Omolo. Bianga Omolo was the son of Oyua, who was also known as Nyakach, and my home county is in Nyakach constituency. I'm Teddy Warrior, the son of Wilfrida Atieno Minayo Mbodo Warrior, Nyarombodo from Seme, which is in the place where we have our inspiring rocks in Kisumu. And I'm the son of the late George Edward Eddie Lovell Woodauko from Kisumu City County, where we hope to also host the Afri Cities in April 22nd to the 26th. And I hope to also welcome Madame in the city of Kisumu. Really, that will be the task of Professor Anyang' Nyong'o. And then we can celebrate Prof together because he is very close also to Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o. And in fact, there's a very good Peter's rule that Prof used to keep in his house that if any of you has time, please read Peter's Rules. It's a very good guide to life. I'll then just read the part 1 of the book where I've mentioned his name and that of Mama. This is the 10th stanza of my book, of my poem. I'm a later-day son of Maria Socorro Nunez, Karen Mrs. Di Bartolo, and Dr. Elizabeth Mary Namangale Awori Okello, who we're privileged to have on this call, and I'm deeply grateful to her for being here today. Mamai Nados Bekele Thomas, and Professor Adebisi Babatunde Thomas, a 21st century Pan-Africanist from the Yoruba people in Nigeria, resting in the fields at the Holy Trinity Church in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I'll be leading the youth of AYTP next year to pay tribute at where Prof is resting in peace, in perfect peace, next to the grave of the late president, or rather prime minister of Ethiopia, Meles Zenawi, who shared the economic dream of Ethiopia. So that's what I have for now. I will let, all right, in fact, before I conclude, given that Madame spoke about economic development in rural Africa, in dedication and in devotion, and in being the legs of the legacy, one of the legs, Martin having been the other leg, and the girls, being one of the legs of the legacy of Professor Babatunde Thomas, I'm creating in his honor something called RETI, which is Rural Economic Transformation by Internet. RETI in Luo means to accelerate, but Prof always had a dream to connect African villages to each other. So I'll execute that through rural economic transformation by internet. And where I am now, I'm using actually a rural connection of internet, and it's actually working. So my goal is to create a per day jobs where people can get 500 shillings or $5, we paid $5 a day using my platform, which I hope will create employment for the youth in rural Africa. And it's actually very easily scalable because you do everything online. So that's what I wanted to share, because at his gravesite where he rests in peace in Ethiopia, it's written that his foundation, Abtei, is dedicated to youth employment in Africa. So thank you for listening to me. I look forward to sending you a complimentary copy of my book and to inviting you for the different events I'll do here at home in Ethiopia, Nigeria, South Africa, and around the world. May God bless you. May God keep the legacy of Adebisi Babatunde Thomas alive and well. And may God bless Mamae so she continues to feel supported, strengthened. We're there for you today and always. And together with my other mother, that I love dearly, Mary Elizabeth Okello, I will create a platform called bereavedbook.com to support all the widows in Africa so that they can also still feel that they belong and they still have an identity and strength, and they're given the requisite love to carry on. Thank you, and may God bless all of you.
Thank you, Teddy, and I believe you will also welcome the team from Kennedy School, Kitengela. What I can acknowledge is I was in a book reading about, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was very inspiring and very moving, hearing young ones reflecting exactly the way you've reflected. So why don't I invite you to invite Mercy and the team from Kennedy School. And I believe Mercy was at one of the after events. Over to you, Teddy.
Thank you, Martin. Mercy was at one of the events, and Mercy always has mercy on me. Mercy, are you on the call? Maybe you raise your hand. Are you on the call, Mercy?
Teddy, I'm here, yes.
Thank you that you're present. I will introduce you shortly by saying you're an amazing teacher in Africa, who maybe a lot of people don't know, but you use all the technology tools to reach out to your students. And that's why for the first time I came out of Kisumu late at night to come and speak to your students at 7 p.m. and to stay in the traffic in Kitengela between Wilson and Kitengela for 4 hours to get to you, because I really wanted to meet your kids who are simply awesome. You're a great, not great teacher, but you're a great head learner, okay? Because the other students are also amazing learners. And I hope shortly they can share with us the I Am From poems that they wrote, because one of the dreams that Babatunde Thomas had was to create a big living website where Africans can share their knowledge, they can share the music that they love, they can share some food, if you will, and they can share themselves with each other. Because as I mentioned before, he's a great Nigerian man, married to a great Ethiopian woman, truly Pan-African in the way they led their lives. So I'd like a few of your students to share their stories. And perhaps if you don't mind, please share with me how meeting me at the launch of Babatunde Thomas, I think maybe meeting me in person or hearing me speak inspired you to want to work with me, which I collaborated, and we have produced 10 wonderful poems from your children or learners, which we're going to convert to Son of the Nile anthology for Kennedy School Kitengela in honor and respect and as part of the legacy of Babatunde Thomas. So hopefully at some point I'll convince Madame Nados Bikela Thomas, who is a UN resident coordinator in South Africa. Previously, she served in that position in Kenya. I'll invite her and her daughters and my sisters to come and speak with the Kennedy schools, and so that they can also get inspired by this new generation that we're working tirelessly and hard for to bring forth the dreams that Babatunde had for Africa. So welcome, Mercy, and feel free to guide your students to read their poems.
Thank you so much, Teddy, and everyone present. I'm so honored and privileged to be part of this great team. And I actually just want to start with, I'll read out something that I wrote down for Teddy in how he inspired me when I met him. And we have 3 of our students here. So after I'm done, I'll welcome them to read for us their poems. So I think I first met Teddy, Teddy's name actually, before I met the person. So he's a larger than life African who has traveled to so many countries and done a great job in introducing many African students to the world of scholarships. I met him courtesy of my great relationship and friendship with Dr. Weche. So I actually met Teddy in person in 2016. And then in January 2016, in Strathmore University, at the launch of Adebisi Babatunde Thomas Entrepreneurship Institute, ABTEI. Then in honor of his adoptive parents, the late Professor Adebisi Babatunde Thomas and his lovely wife. And it's so nice to see you here, Madam. And that's when I saw Teddy, a literally giant, great thinker, and a real son of Africa, yet a citizen of the world. I remember telling our mutual friend and my dear brother, Dr. Julius Weche, this is a great mind, and I want to know more about him. I want to be friends with him, and I really want to work with him. So this is 5 years down the line, and we are sharing in the same vision of mentoring children as we are helping them explore and dissect the Son of the Nile. They have written their own I Am poems, and they are getting to get in touch with their roots, which is a very, very special place to bring to the children, especially who don't even speak their mother tongue. Most of them have their grandparents in Nairobi or the city. So having to go deep down to who they are is a real, real pleasure watching. So I first read Teddy's poem in October 2020. It's taken me reading it over a dozen times to see both the complexity yet the simplicity of his work. A true work of art that shares the depth and breadth of Teddy's life and connecting using art and literature brilliance. The beauty of the poem is that in as much as it's complex and of a very high intellectual writing, it makes sense to an 11-year-old, one of the youngest students in Kennedy, who read, and she's actually written 2 I Am poems of her own. The children have been able to read it get it, and craft their own I am poems. That's one of Teddy's geniuses, his literal ability to speak to both the PhD scholars and the 11-year-old student using the same piece of literature. Working with Teddy, with the Kennedy student, has been a great joy and proud moment. Having over 10 students write their own I am poems and get their work published, that's an honor. We've had several sessions online, and through them, I'm always blown away listening to the brilliant young minds of the children and wisdom of Teddy as we dig up our past. In his book, page 46, the statement, "I was born to bring people together and to bring balance to the world," is my most favorite and most powerful part of the book, as I feel the confidence, clarity of purpose, and exactly what Teddy has achieved through his book, his life. He has brought us closer together as Kennedy as well. We've gotten to know and appreciate each other more, and for that, we are eternally grateful for Teddy, has shared the power of his life purpose with us. Teddy has clearly lived in his two most important days, the day he was born and the day he discovered why. And hence his life is rich as he's living out the latter. And in so doing, getting us out of our self-created boxes to live out our latter. I was born to help teens discover their why, their purpose, and I'm doing exactly that in Kennedy School and beyond. Thank you, Teddy, for being my partner in this over the last couple of months. Looking forward to taking this beautiful journey of self-discovery to the whole of Kenya and beyond with you. And courtesy of what we've been doing with the Kennedy students, we've created Thursdays with Ted. Those are sessions that happen every Thursday evening with the Kennedy students and Teddy. And it's been amazing to just see how well the children have grown. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening in, and it's a pleasure. And without further ado, I want to invite, we have three of our students here.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, Mercy. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ted. It's so nice. So I think I'll call out Chantal Nyakeo. She's 13 years old, and she can read for us her I Am poem. Chantal, you're here?
Yes. Okay. Hi, guys. So my name is Chantal Nyakeo, and I'm 13 years old. Hi. And I'm going to be reading my I Am poem. So this is my original, not the edited one. Okay. So I am from young and old. I am from the Kennedy family, a home to all. I am from Nyakeo, Kamau, Katato, and Wamboi. I am a girl of story, like my grandparents and great-grandparents, whom were full of tales, some of which are Agekoyo and Mombi. I am one with the rain, fire, and mud. The rain is my comfort, the fire burns me, and the mud makes my skin more beautiful. I am from Rongai, the home of my parents and the beginning of my life, and Kinangop, the home of my grandparents. I am created and comforted from books. They are my home. Their words are my music. Their humor is my tea, and the atmosphere, the warmth in me. I am music and a worker, as my names have said. I am from many, yet my family is small. I am a Kikuyu from Jisenya Nyakeo Gathatwa, who gave birth to my mother. She is my grandmother. I am from the old whom spoke with the white snakes long, long ago. The names given to me are many, but I am a Black African girl who walks with the names Chantal Nyakeo Gathatwa. Thank you.
Thank you, Chantal. So Cleavon, are you here?
Thank you, Chantal.
Yes.
Yeah, go right ahead, Cleavon.
Hi, my name is Cleavon. I'm 12 years old, and here's my I am poem. I am land of cliffs. I am one with water. It makes me as calm as the ocean breeze. I'm water, I'm sun, I'm Kenyan. I'm a child of a merciful and kind human being. I'm a dolphin swimming in the Pacific Ocean, and I'm paper floating in the African Ocean. I am Kikuyu, who eats ugali, meat, and fish. I come from a major family of Mwangi. I'm one with rain, provides me with the rest and energy. I'm one with music, which helps me see the air as it passes through my body. I'm one with Netflix. It provides me with the adventure, and it's my partner as I explore. I am mango and apple juice. It gives me the energy to see the universe. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much for
Cleveland.
that.
Yeah, so finally we have Henry Okumu. Henry, you're here?
I think we may have lost Henry. I'll just
Oh,
check again.
he probably dropped off the call.
And that's okay,
Mercy,
we can
Mercy,
continue.
why don't you call him? Please call him. Please
Okay.
find him, call him, and ask him to read his poem. I'd like him to read his poem.
Yes,
Let's
Okay,
that's
so
find him.
Teddy, hold forth for a bit. Let me just call him.
Yeah, that's okay. And Ted, even as we wait on Henry, I think we will give him an opportunity for that. For all our gathered guests, we
Thanks.
would like to compose and tell your own I am poem, reflecting on today's moment and reflecting 5 years on for those of us who were there for the launch in January 2016, and as we project ahead um, to January 2026, when we will be relooking, reimagining, and revisualizing and reflecting on update. And as we wait on Henry, I just want to reflect on the next part of the program. Raquel, I believe you're ready, along with Diana and Favor and Francis. We will be moving to a slightly older cohort of youth. Remember, today is a celebration of youth. March 7th, 2018 was a celebration of women, the two key pillars that Professor Babatunde requested us to carry. And as we listen to the youth, I believe I saw Sema, Angela was here. I don't know if Abigail was able to join. Asema, this is our message to you, our sister. Dad lives on. Dad lives on strong. You have many brothers. You have many sisters. They are global. They are powerful. They are amazing. You are an artist. Abigail is an engineer. You live in a world of artists and engineers. We absolutely value the talent, the relationships, the strengths, all those amazing things you bring to the world. And today's program is about you, our sisters. I was privileged to have my wife and my son Joshua, where we are currently located. They followed portions of the program. You have brothers, you have sisters, you have sons, you have daughters, you have uncles, you have aunties, you have fathers, you have mothers, you have cousins, spanning the whole world. Please never forget that. And as we hear from Kennedy, and as my own students who I'm very proud of come to speak to us, always remember, we are your brothers, we are your sisters. So Kennedy, Teddy, I don't know if we have Kennedy with us.
Mercy, if you can't find, thank you, Martin.
Oh, here
Mercy,
I think I see Henry.
have you found him?
Yes, Henry is here. Henry, are you on?
Karibu. Okay, yeah, over to you. Abby, I'm delighted to see you with Mom. So this message is to you and Angela. So over to you, Mercy and.
So Henry, can you hear me? Henry?
Oh, it could be he's muted. Favor or Diana, could you see if you can unmute Henry Okumu?
Oh,
I know
okay.
we had you, but we're muting for everybody. So we'll just check on that.
He's actually able to unmute, but I think he's joining in with his audio.
Got it.
That's
So
fine.
there's a reason why we want all of us to hear from Henry. I heard his poem too. It's simply amazing. So just give it a minute. And then Teddy, if we can't get the sound to work now, what we'll do, even if we start with a slightly later part of the program, we'll interrupt it and hear from him.
Okay, that's okay, Martin.
Okay, great. Then between you and Mercy, you can help Henry, I think, get that situated.
Okay, thank you, Martin.
Okay, so with that, then what I'll do, Diana, this is your moment. I was delighted to see Francis Mangeni joining at some point. And I'm expecting also Dr. Jackie Chimanzi may join the session. And we've heard about the Africa Young Trade Professionals, AYTP. You are amazing Strathmore students in international relations, in business, in law. I may have taught some of you, I may have interacted with some of you in particular student programs, I may have interacted with some of you in your own dissertations. Diana, why don't I hand over the rest of the program to you, and I'll come in a little bit later when Rosemary Okello and I will be doing the vote of thanks. I'm absolutely delighted as we launch, do this pre-launch of AYTP. Over to you, Diana.
Thank you very much, Martin, and thank you for everybody who's been able to join us. It is an absolute honor and privilege to be part of the program today. My name is Diana Obur, and I'm the CEO of the Africa Young Trade Professionals. We are an organization that equips young people with skills and knowledge necessary for entering into trade. I'll just give an outline of what we're going to do today. So I'll begin by giving a short presentation on what AYTP is and what we've done in the period since we formed this organization. Then a couple of my members of the team will give some short presentations about other aspects of AYTP. That will be Feba Ruhio, who is our Chief Technology Officer. He also doubles as our Chief Financial Officer, who will be followed by Raquel Kuria, who is our COO, which is our Chief Operations Officer. And finally, we'll have Francis, who is our Chief Legal Officer, who will also give an outline of the work that he's been doing. So in just a second, I'll begin sharing my screen so that you can have a bit of an idea of who AYTP is. Excellent. So thank you. As has been mentioned before by Martin and alluded to an extent by Dr. Sambili, we got our inspiration from the Adebisi Babatunde Entrepreneurship Institute because we understood that young people are part of the vision of the future. And what we've done within AYTP is to try to bring as many young people as possible together so that we can sort of be torch bearers and continue the legacy of Professor Babatunde, which Mamae was able to describe to us very, very beautifully. And it's simply an honor and privilege to hear what he was able to do. Sorry. Yes. So I'll describe AYTP a bit, then I'll go into our goals, our values, and allow you to have a short meeting of our team. So at AYTP, we provide young people access to knowledge and skills necessary for entering into trade, as I mentioned before. And we do this by providing a curriculum that allows people to continuously adapt to the knowledge that is more necessary into their activities of the day. We are the oldest members of Generation Z, that being people who were born between 1997 and 2012. And at the moment, this constitutes 9% of Africa's working population, and is projected to grow to as much as 43% by 2030. So essentially, about half of the working population, give or take, in 2030 will be part of this generation. And we want to ensure that the young people, some of who are our peers in terms of trade professions, but some of whom are also spearheading other activities in the legal space and the like, are equipped to their knowledge and the necessary skills that they need to be able to make a difference in their different professional networks. So our target markets are the young professionals and early entrants in the workforce. These are people who require skills in implementing the AFCFTA, which I believe we're all aware is the new kid on the block that seeks to accelerate integration in the continent. We're also really keen on entrepreneurs who are interested in trade in Africa. As Mamaye was able to mention before, Professor Babatunde's work within the entrepreneurial space, and in a sense, working on the aspects to do with innovation, was quite inspirational for us. And we believe entrepreneurship and creating jobs is the next hope for Africa. Sorry, just a minute. Yes, so we developed 3 aspects of our courses. We have foundational courses, we have core courses, and then we also have specialized courses. So when it comes to foundational courses, sorry, just a minute. When it comes to foundational courses, we were able to look at what are the basic skills that an individual who's entering the trade space now needs to be able to have. And this includes aspects like design and systems thinking. We have business model creation, product innovation and development, entrepreneurial leadership, and basic data science skills such as data. In terms of our core courses, we looked at how exactly do people who want to integrate and become professionals in the AFCFTA, what kind of skills and what kind of knowledge do they need to be able to succeed in this particular venture? And so we developed the introduction to the AFCFTA course, then the introduction to regional economic communities, e-commerce and regional expansion, youth and AFCFTA, project management, and communicating the AFCFTA. Finally, in terms of our specialized courses, we're looking at custom designing courses that are relevant to particular groups, for instance, youth in agribusiness, where we're trying to look at how can young people who are interested in particular niche areas get the tools that they require for them to succeed in those particular spaces, knowing that because we aren't explaining to students the future of work, some are getting into fields where education is not matching field work. So how can we ensure that students are actually updated on the information that they need to succeed in terms of where the future of work is going? As mentioned before, our goal is to be a leading center of trade and entrepreneurship excellence. And that means that we need to be able to create as much of a push, more or less getting a critical mass of individuals who are very interested in trade, entrepreneurial leadership, so that we can be able to galvanize and move forward towards integration. Our values are 5, and these include representation of African countries and nationalities. Some of our previous events, I'll mention 2 of them, which are the Fast African Integration Dialogue series, where we were able to bring together different actors to speak about small-scale cross-border trade. And we had representation from across the continent. We also had the second event, which was the second African Integration Dialogue series, which was on rules of origin for industrialization, guided by my mentor, Dr. Francis Mangini, who has had an extremely long career in terms of dealing with regional trade integration, and has been one of the most instrumental people to help us in terms of pushing this torch of how can we ensure that the next generation of integrationists are equipped with the knowledge and skills that they require. The second aspect in terms of our guiding principles has been our gender equity. We believe that gender is an important aspect to always consider. Our team is balanced, and you'll see this in a moment, in the sense that we believe that not only should we have both women and men involved in all activities, but we should also address the needs that are specific to each particular group. We also have proven resilience in the face of difficulty or disadvantage, simply because we understand that with the changes that are happening, for instance, in 2020, when we had the COVID-19 pandemic, young people and older people have to adapt to these changes rapidly. And that means that we have to develop the kind of mindset that allows us to be resilient despite what negative or what external circumstances that we face. We have to develop that spirit and that zeal. Our 4th principle is that of innovation and orientation towards innovation, both as a nature and a process, meaning that it becomes our default, and it's also how we interpret the world around us. Simply because for us to leapfrog into the 4th industrial revolution that has been alluded to in the earlier part of this conversation, we have to actually orient our minds towards innovation. And finally, we embody integrity. We believe that everybody who's working with us and everybody who's part of the AYTP team and the broader trusteeship and membership is an individual or person who carries the character and the vision of what a true African value system is. I'll now allow you to meet our team. Just in brief, we have our trustees. You were able to see Teddy earlier in the conversation. He was able to share a bit about the book that he's written, Son of the Nile. I was very fortunate to be able to read and also write a section of that particular book, which has been very inspirational personally for me and for the different people who've been able to work together with. We have Dr. Okelo, Rosemary, who's also on the call. She is the director of Africa Media Hub and is always extremely instrumental in guiding us in terms of aspects to do with communication, and also because of her broad experience and her impactful work across the continent. We have Mr. Martin Bayer, who we've had several engagements with him going as far back as the Tallback Conference in 2019, where we initiated this idea of bringing together young people who are visionary and interested in ensuring that nobody is left behind when it comes to trade integration, but more or less when it comes to leadership. Myself, as I mentioned before, my name is Diana. We'll have a short presentation by Favor next, followed by Raquel and Francis, and I'll allow my team to introduce themselves as they give their presentations. So thank you very much. That has been the Africa Young Trade Professionals Program. If you would like to learn more about this, you can follow us at our page, or you can open our website. It's aytpafrica.org. We'll be adding the courses and the curriculum as we develop them as time goes. But as I've mentioned before, the AYTP program is simply a manifestation of young people who are interested and committed to enabling Africa's growth. We're interested in committed to ensuring an intergenerational dialogue can be achieved in our lifetimes and can be achieved when the AFCFTA is still young, when the AFCFTA is sort of an age mate where we can all sort of galvanize and push it towards implementation. Now I'll hand over the floor to Favor so that he can give us a brief presentation on an aspect that he has developed, and then we will have Raquel, and then we'll have Francis. So thank you very much for listening to me. It's an extreme honor and privilege to be here today, and it's very exciting to be able to join together as we do a pre-launch of AYTP. So I'll hand it over to you, Favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. So my name is Favor Rohio, as Diana mentioned, and I'm part of the founding team of AYTP. We got to know about UPTE through Mr. Martin Bayer and Mr. Teddy Warrior. My introduction, speaking from a personal perspective, began when we were introduced to UPTE based on Mr. Martin Bayer and Mr. Teddy Warrior's participation during our class with him initially on entrepreneurial leadership and later on in business model creation, development, and evaluation. In the beginning, he mentioned about UPTE's passion for entrepreneurship, and that's where we began. It inspired various facets on the foundation, the creation of AYTP. And at AYTP, where we are focused on capacity building, training, entrepreneurial development, skills transfer, and enabling and empowering of young people within the program and across Africa, it's something that really resonated with me because at the time, last year when we began, we were gearing up to have the National On-Campus Program for Halt Prize at Strathmore University. Shortly after, we won our bid to host the regionals for African countries, whereby we had judges from industry, where Mr. Martin Bai was there. At the on-campus program, we had over 40 different startups participate, where the top 3 were selected for the regionals, where 2 of them made it to the global finals. We had Green Echo and we had Kibu Sokoni as well, where the program's challenge last year was around sustainability and food security, and the theme was food for good. So it was solving problems in the supply chain, as Madam Nardus mentioned earlier, in terms of food security, especially for the African continent. It was aspects on agriculture, in terms of agricultural innovation, to enable small-scale farmers to have innovative farming solutions at the grassroots. We also had programs relating to innovations relating to food processing and packaging as well, because as we all know, a key contributor to the cost of food is the cost of processing it and packaging it. And all these innovations were driven by students at the university. At the regionals, we had participating universities from across Africa, where the top team from each university got to participate. So at the regionals, we had 50 different startups, and we were able to take them to the whole period of the session where the top 3 were selected to participate at the Global Accelerator. And at the Global Accelerator, which was in the UK, because of COVID, it had to happen virtually because of travel restrictions for some of the countries, and it was pre-vaccine as well, so traveling for some countries was nearly impossible. So the teams were able to participate in that front. Additionally, on campus, alongside working with Mr. Martin Baya and Mr. Teddy Waria, we had the StrathCube, which is the first student-run incubation program in Kenya. It was still also done at Strathmore University, where I was part of the founding team as well. And we had sessions where you trained the teams. It was an incubation program that lasted several months. Because of COVID, it was also virtual, where the teams were taken through different courses and different topics and were taught and trained by industry leaders. So Mr. Martin Baya and Mr. Teddy Waria came on with the hat of APTE and with the hat of the entrepreneurial background. So for instance, for Mr. Martin Baya, he wasn't coming in as a lecturer. He was coming in as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as an APTE member. So, and also as a lecturer, but now from his academic perspective, but he was there wearing that hat in terms of his passion and his specialization as well. So during the program, he was able to they were able to have sessions with the young people, and then the top 3 teams were to be matched with investors and partners, where the first team actually closed a round of funding a little over a month ago, which is great as well. The others were matched with partners and are still working to scale their businesses. And the second cohort for StrathCube actually launched this past Friday. So we're glad to know that, even after having finished our session in terms of our term at the university and handing over to the next leadership team, that StrathCube is still journeying on. Additionally, we've also been able to work on innovation and entrepreneurship events. We had, with a team I'm working with known as Startnev, we were able to have Techstar Startup Weekend, which is a startup weekend where we collaborated with Google and GoDaddy and various industry partners to enable tech and innovation-based solutions to common problems that exist in society. So the first one was relating to food security, and the second one was relating to social innovation, which we had in July, where we had broad acceptance for different submissions and ideas. And the ones that were presented, and that one was one known as Akili Cash, which was looking at gamifying financial inclusion in terms of trade, not financial management for young people. The second one was, the second team which tied for the top was called, I'm trying to confirm their name. Their solution was relating to enabling PWDs to access utility services. It was called K Macho, yes, where the team were looking at ensuring that PWDs don't have any challenges with paying and utilizing utilities in home areas and commercial spaces, especially when they're managing the utilities. And the third startup that came out of it was called Circular Village, where, in line with what Mr. Teddy Waria mentioned, where he was trying to enable internet access, they were trying to enable energy down at the grassroots and the village level through circular ecological energy. So where they're using the environment and the waste and different aspects that are available and freely accessible to people in village areas to have energy at the grassroots level. So whether or not they may have electricity connection for whatever they need, if they needed to process groundnuts, if they're planting them, they're able to have the energy they need at the grassroots. And these are some of the startups that came out of it. Currently, we're running the Africa IoT and AI Challenge, whereby with it, we're looking to ensure that startups that are interested and passionate about AI and IoT are able to be trained to deliver programs, rather to create startups that solve problems in society. So we have startups in the energy space, startups in the fintech space, startups in the agricultural space. We have startups in the security space. all of which are competing for the regionals, which will be in Dubai in December. And these are aspects that we're trying to do to enable and equip entrepreneurs. So thank you very much. Diana, back to you.
Thank you, Favor, and thank you for that outlook on some of the work that's happening behind the scenes. That is essentially an extension of work within which AYTP is very much vested in and has also got the partnership and strength from the ABTE trustees within our network. Now, in this moment, I'll hand over to Rakeli Kuria, who will give us a quick presentation. So Rakeli, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. My name is Rakeli Kuria, and I'm actually a student of Martin Byam in Strathmore currently. And I'm here to talk about the leadership journey. So actually my leadership journey began last year. This has been an accelerated growth for me actually. My leadership journey began last year, I think in March, where I wanted to change the trajectory of my life. I wanted to get more involved in entrepreneurship, in business, and I was offered a position at a startup tech firm. And at the tech firm, joining, honestly, I was terrified. I was actually terrified because I wasn't sure, not what I was doing, but did I have the expertise? Did I have the knowledge? Did I have the skills? And I read Lean In at the time by Sheryl Sandberg, and I told myself, let me jump, let me try. And as we all know, the hardest thing is beginning. And by I think luck, chance, I don't know what to describe it as. I happened to join Martin's class, business planning, and if you've ever had an opportunity to be in Mr. Meyer's class, it's a mixture of an executive master's program and an interactive master class. And during that period, I was asking him questions because in as much as yes, I had the theoretical knowledge from my learning and books and tutorials and everything that I was reading that was trying to prepare me for this position. There are some things that were not available. And so I think that's the first time I interacted and I felt that gap between industry and academia. And I was so blessed to have been able to be a part of that class and to be able to ask those practical questions and to be able to, I think for those that know me, I'm a fan of asking questions. I really, really enjoy learning. And that was the first time for me I interacted with that gap between industry and academia. Then moving forward, I have also been lucky enough to have worked for AWEB, Africa Women Entrepreneurship Program, have also been a rapporteur for some of Strathmore's initiatives, namely, I think one of the most profound impacts on me is the SME Built to Last program. And here I was able to interact with the heads of a number of SMEs, and they were able to share what are some of the situations, what are some of the problems that they're experiencing. And this is where, for me, I think the gap between industry and academia was brought to light in a way that we realized this is now a problem, this is now a situation. And for those of us here who are able to get access to mentors, able to get access to even classes like Mr. Mbaya's, which is a mixture of practical and theoretical knowledge, is something that is very rare. And I think for me, even having that, having the ability to compare between where I was last year and my thought processes and how I viewed the whole situation of academia and thinking that I'm just going to move from school and being able to easily integrate myself into entrepreneurial projects or even into the workforce, being able to have a buffer, being able to have mentors, being able to have that practical knowledge and wisdom from people who have come before me is such a unique thing and something that is so rare. And that is why, as AYTP, we'd like to share that. And that is our goal, to be able to create courses that are both practical, courses that are sharing, this wisdom, courses that are sharing and addressing the gap between industry and academia, and updating it currently and consistently, and being able to address and also bring in the aspect of Africanacity that has been so well and is being championed very greatly by the warrior. But as AYTP, again, that is our goal, to be able to create that practicality, create courses that create practical, mix practical and theory, and also the wisdom that has come before us. Thank you.
Wonderful, Raquel. Wonderful. Martin.
Yes, thank you very much, Raquel, for those kind words, and thank you for that perspective. Favor, also thank you, and along with Diana, you've reminded me of quite a number of interactions I've completely forgotten about. I believe we still have one more. One of the very few supervisees I've engaged with. He happens to be in the law school, so maybe let me hand over back to him just to ensure we've heard from the full cohort. I know he's sitting somewhere in Kibos along with Dr. Okello. So maybe back to you, Diana, just to confirm if Francis will speak.
Yes, thank you very much, Martin. And yes, I can confirm Francis is here. Francis, are you able to unmute so that you can begin? Oh. Francis, can you hear me, or has he dropped off?
He may be facing technical challenges.
He's in, I think he's trying to connect. He's in.
Okay. So actually, briefly, as we just give Francis a minute to connect, hopefully I'm still capable. Oh, fantastic. And I hear Henry is also ready to read his poem. For Dr. Sambili and Madame Nados, there's a program we've always talked about that focuses on entrepreneurship, skill building, the EBSB program. We were very privileged as Update to launch one version of it in January, February 2016. And Professor was still around with us, and I believe this is the baby of Nados and the late Prof. And it is our desire and our hope that this course will find a new lease of life through this amazing cohort of AYTP students. And we hope at least the first group, by the time we're celebrating the 6th anniversary of APTE January next year, we can hopefully have the first cohort. But maybe we can bring in Henry just to read his poem as an interlude. We can also, I believe Ted, you said we might have 2 poems. And then after that, Dr. Okello, please be on standby. This is the moment we've all been really looking forward to.
Start to me.
So be on standby, Dr. Okello. So over to you, Teddy, maybe to hear from
you. Thank you, Martin. It delights me to tell all of you that not only did Diana Owour do a spectacular presentation this afternoon. I like the orange and black, and I like that she's even wearing Kenyan beads to celebrate Kenya, and she's in Europe. So thank you, Diana, for doing that. Raquel, thank you for your astounding presentation, and Raquel as well. You all make us proud. So I wanted to mention, because Dr. Keller will be speaking shortly, the motto for Makini is Fanya kwa Makini for Swahili, which means do it with diligence. And I might add also, do it with some perseverance. In Swahili, they say vumilia. So it's a good thing if you do that. It makes good character out of any man. And I wanted all of you to know that Diana Owour, I didn't know that she had been a student of Dr. Mary Okello at Makini School. I only found out a few weeks ago with a lot of delight. So Diana was a top student in Makini, and probably the top Kenyan student girl in KCPE in 2011. And then she went to Alliance Girls, and now she's in Europe at Maastricht, and she's just graduated with her master's degree. So I wanted to just acknowledge that, because of all the things that are being done out of Africa, or even out of Kenya, Dr. Okello's work of creating and building Makini has truly and completely revolutionized how education is offered and packaged in Kenya and Africa. And most of the children or students have gone to do great around the world. So Diana is just one example of that. So if all of us as Africans would bring together our skills, our knowledge, and as Professor Babatunde dreamed, and put it in one central place where each person can feed, can contribute, and another person feed of it, so that we can make a strong, great, and prosperous Africa by 2063. So I'll invite Henry to read his poem, because he moved me very much when I first had it a week ago. And his poem will also be in my book. And I look forward to supporting him going forward as well. Thank you. Marcy, do we have Henry?
Henry, can you hear us? Henry?
If we're waiting for Henry, then Nafisa can speak. Would you let Nafisa go as we wait for Henry?
Nafisa, nudge me. You're here.
Nafisa, are you
Yes,
there?
yes, I know. Yes, welcome, Nafisa.
Yes,
I see
please
you,
share
Nafisa.
your poem,
Yes,
Nafisa. Yeah, please share your poem, Nafisa.
yes.
Greetings to you,
Okay.
and kindly share your poem. Check, Marcy, are they having trouble with their connection?
I'm seeing Nafisa. Nafisa, can you hear me? I think Henry is having trouble, but I
So
think
for
Nafisa,
Henry,
if you can hear us, you can go ahead. Nafisa?
I think let Nafisa do hers. Then for Henry, please just read it and explain who he is to the audience.
Okay, so Nafisa, you'll go right ahead, please.
Okay. Hi, I'm Nafisa Najmi, and this is my poem for my version of I am from poem. I am from the land of prayers and hope. I am from the land of children. I am from the land of Techstar and early delights. I am from Murtaza and Maria, two wonderful parents who teach lessons of positive light. I am from Husamuddin and Zainab, loving grandparents who brought my favorite man to this world and taught me how to embrace culture and religion. I am from Hussein and Batul, my grandparents who fought their whole life for family and everything that held value, showed me the meaning of true sickness and health. I am from the three of the most annoying but best people to be around. Aliasgar, Alifia, and Husseina, my three siblings who stole my clothes, food or toys, but gave me laughs and memories to cherish forever. I am from the beautiful religion of Islam, teachings of my holiness. I am from the lessons of the Quran. I am from the blessings the memorization of the Quran brought. I am from the rush of Indian air and traffic. I am from a huge, loud, divided brown family. I am from a place of reading books with a torch under my blanket after Ammi told us to sleep. I am from the delicious taste and smell of biryani. I am from the weird and disgusting taste of the liquid medicine my mom makes us drink so we can have clean stomachs. I am from the app called Twitter where I made a lot of friends abroad. I am from the generation of fangirling and listening to music. I am from the place of memes and overused use of the words like and y'all. I am from trying to change my accent to be just like Louis Tomlinson's Yorkshire one. I am from knowing all the lyrics to all the music my idols have released. I am from a place of adventures and dreams. I am from a place I haven't reached yet but will soon. Fill you in when I'm there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nafisa. When I first met Nafisa online, she told me she's brown. So I asked her, how brown are you? I didn't know she was referencing that she's an Indian. She's been delightful, and she really thoroughly impressed me with her poem. So Nafisa, God bless you. And Odomadi bless you. And I'm waiting to join your Bora community one of these days to share your poem and also to work with you. And hopefully when you're 40, we can see how we can help you write an autobiography. So God bless you. And if Henry is not there, Mercy, just read his poem and share who Henry is.
I believe Henry is here. Teddy, I believe Henry is here.
Okay. Can Henry Arwaki, can you proceed, Henry? Can you share with us your poem, Henry?
Okay.
Thank you.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can
Can
all
you
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yes, we can all hear you. Welcome.
Okay. All right. My name is Henry Okumu. Henry, I am from Nigeria, from football, where I get my spirit and exercise. I'm from Bacon. Fried eggs and toast are from Action Rentals and Comedies. I am from I'm from Kisumu, where sharks breed. I am from a Niger town. I am from Iron. I am from Android. I am from a good neighbor. I am from
Thank you very much, Henry. I think we may also have lost the connection there.
That's okay.
I'm named after my master. He was a teacher of experience. My mother is Elizabeth Nangara. My hometown was Kisumu City. And from my mother's side, I'm from Canadindo and Patrick Orindo. I am a 9-year-old, meaning I was born at night. I am from pop music. I'm from Killing Ugly, Peace, Amena, and sweet potatoes. And everyone weekend we have a family movie night. So yeah. And
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Henry, for reading us your poem. So I wanted to share a little bit. Henry, are you? Thank you so much for reading us your poem, your I Am From poem. I was very delighted that you wrote it. And I had not even known that you're autistic until I came and met you at the school last week. As I mentioned, we would support you. And because you're remembering also Babatunde Thomas today, Babatunde Thomas always often said, we are family. Whichever way you come, whoever you are as an African, we are family. And we embrace you, we will support you, and we believe in you. And as an African family, a greater African family, we do it as a family. So feel most welcome. And I look forward to giving you a book that I'll sign, which you've also written your poem, and to working with you going forward. So thank you all for listening to Henry. And as Prof used to say, and as Mamai says, we are all family, all of us, all the time.
Thank you very much, Teddy, and thank you for the 2 additional poems we have just heard from. And we are inspired and we look forward to engaging more through the performed and creative art. I want to see Francis is now back. Just so that we can hear from Francis, we are learning about 15 minutes late. We started 15 minutes late, so I apologize for all those. I beg you to just bear with us. We're almost done with the program once we have the keynote. Francis, are you able to engage now? And I almost want to believe I can see Francis' mom I won't believe Brenda is Francis' mom. But Francis, if you're there, Karibu, the floor is yours. Diana, you can confirm?
Yes.
Is Francis still facing technical issues?
I've seen that Brenda has raised the hand. I don't know if
Okay,
they're in the
go
same
ahead.
room.
Okay, they could be.
At the moment, Francis is not on the call, so I think we will have to proceed and hopefully hear from him at a different point.
Yes, that's okay. So then without further ado, this is the moment, the capstone moment we've been building towards. I'm very privileged that we have with us Dr. Mary Okello, joining us all the way from Kibos, where she is based, founder of Makini Schools, one of the very first managers on a global stage, and the first female head of a Barclays branch in the Kenyan context. To some extent, that may also apply continentally. A founder of the Kenya Women Finance Trust. She has given an amazing guest lectureship within our programs at Strathmore. Earlier this month, she spoke to our entrepreneurship leadership students. And it's my privilege to invite Dr. Mary Okello. I'll just confirm that her connection is still working. I hope she's also not impacted. Let me confirm if she's in the room. Dr. Okello, if you're there, let's see if we can hear from you. And the floor will be yours. That is supposed to mark the culmination of today's celebration, today's event. I'm actually looking, I can see she may not be with us in the room. I'll request Favor just to check briefly, maybe a quick phone call, either Favor or Rakeli. And then in the meantime, Rosemary Okello, close to namesake of Dr. Mary Okello. Rosemary, are you with us?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, fantastic. So just to buy a
You
little
can
bit
hear
of
and
time.
see me?
Yeah, oh, fantastic. We can hear you, we can see you. Just to buy some time for Dr. Mary Okello to give the keynote. You're supposed to give the vote of thanks a little bit later. I'll exercise some MC privilege. And I wanted to ensure we hear from Arsema, Angela and Abigail, our sisters, two daughters of Professor Babatunde. They will be doing the vote of thanks. And Arsema and Angela, and Abigail, I hope I'm not ambushing you. After Dr. Mary Okello speaks, I see she's just rejoining the room. I'll request the two of you to do a vote of thanks overall or for the day's event. But Rosemary, if you're on standby, I'd want to request you do just a short vote of thanks for this portion of the program as we set the stage for the speech that is going to be conducted. You are our voice of Strathmore today, and you've seen the products of Strathmore, you've seen the products of Abte, you're a trustee of AYTP. Why don't I give you about 5 minutes just to share your remarks, and then we invite Dr. Mary Okello.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you for this opportunity you've given me just to reflect and not only give a vote of thanks about today's milestone, today's events, which is a milestone in many ways, but also to remember the great man, the man of action, the man who set the stage when nobody even knew certain issues could even emerge in Africa. Known as a global leader with expertise in public health, women's empowerment, and young people, Professor Babatunde actually led the stage for us, especially people in Africa, to be able to follow. He has particularly focused on human rights, including the sexual and reproductive health, as well as population. But more importantly, I'd like us today, as we celebrate the man of action, it was a man that introduced reforms and increased effectiveness, not only where he worked, but also within the governments and also within the various NGOs that he supported and partnered and networked with. And his leadership and advocacy with the government and other key stakeholders has made us actually to be celebrating the AYTP today, in the sense that he laid the vision based on the following foundation. the foundation of ensuring that we have got a transformed Africa, and the foundation through technology, and then the foundation laid on agribusiness and agriculture as the food security from fork to fork, the way MMI Nados told us earlier on, and more importantly, based on our vision on entrepreneurship. So today's milestone, in many ways, actually resonates with what Professor Babatunde stood for, and we are so grateful for this opportunity and for the family to be able to allow us to actually celebrate together and bring young people like the AYTP people, Kennedy School, be able to just celebrate this great man. And just grateful for also Martin, who has been able to be instrumental in establishing not only the AYTP, but also the Strathmore Business School, who today I've had adopted sons of Mamai. I'm so honored that today marks the great day of even launching of them, Son of the Nile. As we wait for Dr. Mary Okello to speak to us, we are so grateful to have Dr. Sambili, who has spearheaded this APTE, and I remember the APTE debate in 2018 at Strathmore, how instrumental it was, and also among others, Manu Chandaria, who are paths crossed when I was the Secretary of the Editors Guild a long time ago, but I'm so humbled to see him here, and everyone who actually is here. But as I end this vote of thanks, I could have actually talked more because I knew I was going to talk at the end of it. I wanted us to carry the spirit, and may the spirit of the family that Babatunde left us, that he wants a strong family, a family that help one another, a family that incubate one another using skill, live with us for the rest of our days, even as we launch to this great event, but also as we mark and celebrate the great man of action of Africa. And it's my desire. I was actually challenging the AYTP. How can they make Babatunde spirit live on? And the entrepreneurship and the leadership of the youth within the entrepreneurship, and also skilling other youth in entrepreneurship should be a key role that AYTP will be playing in ensuring that the spirit of Babatunde lives on. And we look forward to many of you not only writing and reflecting on what he stood for and what he does, but how his action has transformed our lives, and may his spirit live on. And thank you for this opportunity you've given me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosemary, for those vote of thanks. I know we've changed the order a little bit because the session is recorded. When we edit, a portion of it may actually show at the end of the program. For Dr. Mary Okello and Francis, I think we had lost you briefly and we were just getting to the capstone, the keynote. So sorry about that. Don't worry, we've not forgotten you. Francis, if you're still there briefly, maybe in a minute, 2 minutes, you can just tell us about your project or yourself, or just your quick remarks. And then Dr. Mary Okello, I had already introduced you, mentioned how influential you are for my students in the guest lecture you gave, and there are so many of them you inspired, including Raquel, who is here. So Francis will give you the floor briefly, and then Dr. Mary Okello will move immediately to you. Francis, over to you.
Thank you again, Martin, and thanks again, everyone, for joining us today for such an auspicious occasion. Sorry for the delay. I was experiencing some internet problems, but gladly it's all been sorted. Now, on my end, I'd just like to briefly touch on regional integration and the role played by trade towards facilitating connectivity, both for the youth and connecting academia and private sector partners. Towards this end, I'd like to begin with a spotlight on regional integration. Regional integration, as we know it, helps countries overcome divisions that impede the flow of goods, services, capital, people, and ideas. Now, divisions such as bureaucratic red tape are a constraint to economic growth, particularly for developing countries. Now, from the dawn of civilization, trade has been intrinsically tied to regional integration efforts. And Adebisi Babatunde seemed to have caught on to this, and through his vision and leadership in the entrepreneurial space, we managed to birth AYTP to basically ape attempts at regional integration that have been implemented across the globe. Now, consider this. The Silk Road in the 13th century played a major role in bridging the gap between the East and the West. And this role continues to affect how international trade functions. Think of the one bridge, one road policy by China. Kenya, through the SGR, the Port of Mombasa, development in the Port of Lamu, basically attempts to leverage connectivity in a manner that allows the boosting of trade amongst Kenya in the international landscape and regionally. Close at home, the AFCFTA provides a similar platform in the sense that it cuts the bureaucratic red tape and lack of support that hampers access to regional markets by young entrepreneurs and trade professionals. The proper implementation of this agreement would allow developing countries to navigate the turmoil caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, allowing access by young people and entrepreneurs to the vast regional market created under the AFCFTA. In this way, the AYTP program is intended to create a platform that allows young people access to this regional market, diversifying exports, accelerating growth, and attracting foreign direct investment in a manner that will uplift the youth and the continent at large. Personally, through Mr. Martin Bayer and the AYTP program at large, I've been able to focus my research on understanding ways through which young Africans can capitalize on the AFCFTA to unlock these opportunities and basically gain access to the relevant skills and strategic input that would allow them to stand out and make a lasting impact in the global landscape. We would like to thank each and every one of you for participating in the pre-launch for the AYTP. And at this juncture, I'd just like to hand over the program back to the chair, who would then welcome Dr. Okello for her remarks.
Thank you very much, Francis. And so, Dr. Sambili, if you're still with us, you can do us the honor, or maybe even more appropriately, Ma Nados, since today we are celebrating Prof. If you can do us the honor of inviting Dr. Okello, kindly, Madam Nados, I would request you to invite Dr. Okello. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. But I would rather ask Professor Sambili to do that. But Dr. Okello, who is a sister to me, is so close to me. But I would really like to make sure that the update chair, who is much more senior than I am, introduces her, if you do not mind, Martin.
That's okay. That's okay. I was just ensuring I was observing protocol. So, Dr. Sambili, the floor is yours. Yes.
Oh, you have to be here to move me.
Yeah, Dr. Sambili. Okay, and Dr. Sambili may have moved away from the computer. So maybe Dr. Okello, consider yourself welcome. Over to you, Dr. Okello.
Well, anyway, then in that case, I would really like to say a few words about Dr. Okello, Dr. Okello is a visionary leader, a person who have been following up when I was in Uganda, because Uganda, coming out of war, wanted to have some financial intermediaries, and the women enterprises were so limited, and actually there were none when I was there, and we wanted to resuscitate, the spirit of entrepreneurship in women. And I used Dr. Ekoro as an exemplary leader in that respect. When we started the Uganda Women's Finance Trust, we had to come to Kenya and on a mission with the minister and all the Ugandan entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurs, to come and see on how the financial intermediation works and how the Women Finance Trust works. And I remember a person called Mary Amajo, who was in charge of the microfinance project in Uganda, which is part of the bigger private sector development program that we established in Uganda. We had to stay with my sister, Dr. Okello, and learn the nitty-gritties of the functioning of the finance trust. We established the same in Uganda. And it's thanks to your effort, my sister, that we have now a booming women entrepreneurs and enterprises in Uganda. Furthermore, we came to you, I remember this is all back to the early 1990s for those of you young ones. We came to her to see how the financial intermediation system is integrated within the formal financial sector, and how the rules and regulatory frameworks of the central bank and the national bank and the formal banking system integrates, these financial microfinances and helps the microfinance to expand and be accessible to the poor, and how the on-loaning from the central bank to the commercial bank to the financial intermediaries could be sort of circumvented so that the interest rates when it goes to the poor people is not that high and not affordable to them. So, these were the things that we learned from you. We had the financial sector reform in Uganda, thanks to the inspiring work that you did in Kenya. And also we had a whole global knowledge shift from focusing on microcredit to microfinance. And thanks to you again. We were talking about Grameen Bank at that time, Bangladesh, but the other example from Africa was your work that you did in Kenya, among the many other things in terms of coming out with the very visionary school and all the work that you have done, which are numerous. Thank you very much for being our keynote speaker. You have always been with us, and thank you for being part of the APTE family. Thanks, and you have the floor. So, let's hear the wisdom from you, my dear sister, Dr. Okello. You have the floor.
So you start?
Yeah.
It's an honor and privilege for me to be the guest of the chief guest at this very important event. And I want to thank my sister, Madam Nados, because it is because of her that this is happening. I also want to thank Strathmore University and the trustees of APTE, Professor Sambili, Martin, Baya, Teddy Warrior, and my younger sister, Rosemary Okello Olale. I'm also delighted to see my older brother, Dr. Manu Chandaria, being with us today. I am happy to see Diana was was our top student at McKinney in 2019, and she was one of the top students in the country. And Raquel, who I interacted with recently during my discussions with her class. So it is indeed an honor for me to be here, and I thank you again for inviting me. When I was invited, I was a bit hesitant because I have such a high respect and regard for Professor Babatunde Thomas and Madam Nados, that I wasn't sure whether I could really measure up to being a chief guest. I remember the last time I saw the late professor, it was at the event, the launch in 2016. He was not well. He was in a lot of pain, but I was very impressed that in spite of the pain he was in, he actually came to grace the occasion. It was a big lesson for me that in spite of being in that state, he still was brave enough, was committed and dedicated to the cause to come out. That lesson is still with me today. Madam Nados has been a great role model for not just me, but for many women, for many people internationally. She has been a mentor, and she has been a wonderful example for us to follow. I was very touched in 2017 when Teddy Warrior brought her to McKinney School. I could not believe that somebody of her status and somebody who was so busy could take time from her busy schedule to come and speak to the children. And she did. And she shared some of her story and the challenges her country was facing, and also the challenges she has had to overcome in her work. The children were so mesmerized by her talk, they didn't even want her to stop. She crowned that visit by planting a tree. And that tree was significant because it was really a conversation, an intergenerational conversation, which continues today, because that tree was named after her, Nados Bekele Thomas tree. And as that tree grows, it continues the conversation between her generation and the youth. So we thank you very much for what you did. It was a seed you planted, but it continues to grow and teach us a lot about who you are and what you do. I was asked to talk about myself, my journey, as part of the intergenerational conversation. I think the conversation has already taken place when I see Diana, Raquel continuing, Francis here, the conversation is on. I was asked to talk about my journey. My journey has been very long because I'm not young. But let me start from the school. I was in a class of 13 girls who were selected to start the A-level at the Alliance Girls' School in the country. And being a pioneer class, we were put under a lot of pressure to excel. We used to be told if we didn't succeed, the government will not invest in higher education for girls. So we had to work hard and make sure that the investment was justified. By the grace of God, all those girls in that class did very well. It produced the first woman judge in the country, Justice Effie Owor, the first woman Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor, Florida Karani, the first woman chief inspector of schools, the late Elizabeth Masiga, and I happen to be the first woman bank manager. We also have Charity, Elizabeth Mwangi, who acts as mother-in-law in the TV series. So we did well. After my A-level, I joined the prisons department while waiting to go to the university. The prisons work, the training was military. We were officer cadet training. We marched, we saluted. We spent hours on the shooting range practicing shooting. I worked in the prisons for a while, but the prisons gave me a lot of training. It instilled discipline, focus, and professionalism, which I continue to use today. One of the top things that the prisons taught me was really to be professional in spite of very difficult circumstances. I was assigned the duty to look after a person who was condemned to death, because that time we had capital punishment was still on. And you had to prepare this person, not just psychologically, but also to make sure that the process was properly done and accurately. And I remember just before during the preparation, you had to make sure the weight of the person, and you weigh the bags that do, so that everything is very accurate. But in one occasion, somebody had made a mistake on the weight and we had to go back and do. So it taught me, in spite of difficult circumstances, one has to be very professional and one has to be accurate. After my stint in the prisons, I went to Makerere University, where I did an honors degree in history. Makerere was a lot of fun. I had even the opportunity to be Miss Makerere, which opened a lot of doors for me. But some of those doors I could not enter because of the value system I had. For example, the people who owned cars needed me to be to model for them. I remember one occasion I was put on a bonnet of a car and I was being used now as to demonstrate a woman on a car on top of a bonnet. I remembered the value system that I grew up, and I just remembered my father saying, you shouldn't be doing that. So I jumped off the bonnet and disappeared, and that was the end of my modeling for cars. I say this because the way we are brought up affects the way what we do in life, and that was a lesson for me. After Makerere, I was employed for a short time at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where I enjoyed meeting people, working. I had an opportunity to meet, to work for, to do the research on President Secretary of Guinea-Conakry, a great African man whose values and who was committed to the cause of Africa. Then I also met Madame Pauline Lumumba, the wife of PLO Lumumba, who had just lost her husband. I'm saying this because these were great Africans who were fighting like Babatunde for the development of our continent. Unfortunately, my stint at Foreign Affairs was short-lived because I got into a problem. One of my seniors started making advances and I knew I was not going to win. At that time, we didn't even have the language for sexual harassment. So I decided to leave. I left without a job So I applied to Barclays Bank, who are recruiting graduates to train them in management training. They were taking men at that time. I applied 4 times, they turned me down because I was a woman and because also I had done history and not finance. At the 4th attempt, I was recruited. I'm saying this because sometimes we give up at the first attempt, but perseverance enabled me to get in. I was sent to London for training. When I got to London, I encountered cultural shock. I had racism that I had never encountered in my country. I was sent to a rundown part of London. And on my way from the train, I found these drunkard people calling me names, Blackie, tall legs, people with a color don't go to the bank. I was so shocked that I decided not to come back there. So I was called to head office at 54 Lombard Street, where I met these white men in dark gray suits, looking like undertakers. And I knew they were the undertakers of my dream to become a bank manager. So they asked me, and I told them that I could not work in a place where I was encountering drunkards. It was not easy, but eventually they understood my predicament. So they transferred me to a better part of London, Hampstead, which was nice and green. But while there, I fell in love with a man who was doing his PhD at Imperial College. Of course, this was again a shock to the bank because they didn't expect me to be involved in other things apart from my career. But as a woman, we have a biological clock. I realized if I didn't get married at a particular time, I may not have the chance to get married or to have children. So we negotiated, they allowed me to continue. After my training, I came back. I'm saying this so that young women, if you are pursuing a career, don't always forget that the clock is ticking away. So I came back, I was sent to a branch at Pioneer House where I worked for a short time. I encountered a problem with my boss because he was very racist and he used to treat people with a lot of contempt. So I questioned him and he thought I was insubordinate. So I was transferred to another branch because he reported me that I had been rude, which I didn't think, but anyway, I was transferred and where I went was also difficult because I found a very conservative person and I was questioning some of the policies and the practices in the bank because at that time, women were only cashiers, clerks, and tea girls. I was the only manager. So I started wondering why we cannot have women in managerial positions. The rules and the regulations were also against women. Women couldn't have accounts. They could not borrow without the permission of their husbands or guarantee of a man. So I started a mentoring program in the bank to encourage women to aspire for managerial positions. So I used to share my notes from the Institute of Bankers in London and encourage them to read and get professional qualifications so that they could be considered. I also became their voice. Whenever anyone did well, I would mention to the management that lady was good enough to be promoted. And by the grace of God, this girl started doing well. In 1972, they appointed the first woman supervisor, Mrs. Agatha Obari. So we kept encouraging one another through this mentoring program, and the program grew, and at one time Barclays had the highest number of women managers in the country. I also started talking to women, market women, giving them the banking language, talking to them how they should approach banks and how they should package their proposals. Then we started in 1982, we started the Kenya Women Finance Trust. I was very lucky to have a very supportive managing director, Mr. T.D. Miles, who allowed me to attend international meetings and able to also allowed me to have meetings of lawyers and bankers and other women in my office so that we could start the Kenya Women Finance Trust. Kenya Women's Finance Trust has grown and today is one of the largest microfinance company in the country. As my sister and others mentioned, Uganda also became microfinance. Thanks to your support, Madam, that you gave them, it made it grow. And it also did a lot to put, to bring financial inclusion for women. After the success of Kenya Women Finance Trust, Women's World Banking recruited me as a regional director to go around the continent to try and establish more of these affiliates on the continent, which was successful in some countries. We had Ghana, Senegal, Zambia, Zimbabwe establish similar affiliates. Then I was promoted to Women's World Banking. While I was with Women's World Banking, the African Development Bank asked me to go there as a senior advisor and also director of the bank, but with the main reason to do a women in development policy paper, which was done, which we did and was adopted by the then 52 African countries. It was basically to have policies that could guide how to integrate women in development. After the policy went through, Women's World Banking again took me back as vice president now in New York, where I worked for about 2 years, and then I was a bit tired of traveling. So I decided to come back to McKinney School, which we had started in 1978, my husband. We started that school to address the gaps in the education system. At that time, when we started in 1978, the country was having a very high population, 5% per annum. And there was so many children, but the government was not able to build as many schools as possible. And there was also a growing middle class, which needed good schools. So we started McKinney School to address that gap. But we wanted a quality education in the national system that could take care of the needs of the middle class. So we started McKinney School and we ran it for 40 years. It was very challenging. We met many challenges, one of which, when we wanted to do the international baccalaureate, we borrowed money from the World Bank, the IFC arm. It was okay until we got into problems. We borrowed the money in dollars and we had a lot of applicants from international students, but there was a problem in Kenya, a security problem. And then all the applications we had, the applicants canceled. So we had a dollar loan, but no dollar income because the people who were supposed to pay us in dollars did not come because of the insecurity in the country. It became a very serious problem. So we had to go back to the World Bank and renegotiate to give us longer time to pay. Running the school also had many issues, training, development of staff, but we devoted a lot of our resources on staff development. We also practiced a lot of affirmative action. I remember at one time, out of my 9 campuses, 8 were manned by women, but this is because we were waiting for the implementation of the 2/3 gender rule, which didn't happen, which has not quite happened. But we were lucky to develop all this to make sure that the women were getting into leadership positions. We also had a very strong mentoring program for the staff. And today I'm happy to say that over 23 of our staff have gone out there to open their own schools and applying our values or whatever systems we had in place. Apart from McKinney School, we were also involved in other things we were doing to help sponsoring children from disadvantaged homes and giving them an opportunity. At McKinney, we tried to encourage children to do well. And I'm proud to say we have seen one of our top students here, Diana. Investing in children was always our top priority, to make sure that the children realize their potential. They do well in whatever they do. So we started also a system whereby we had different sections to cater for different needs of children. Like we had a sports department, music, so that children who had that flair could be encouraged and would realize their potential. I can go on and on, but I will be short. I'll leave it there and just say a few lessons that I learned when I was running my school. I was also going around trying to support women to get access to credit and capital. We have to learn to support one another. The Barclays mentoring program I started was really to try and encourage women to do what they could do better. I also took risks. There was a time I lent a lady money when the rules were that women must have a man to guarantee them. The lady didn't have a husband. She was a mother of daughters. So when they called me, I could not, I fought for her to get the loan, and she did. And I'm happy that she didn't let me down. So I'm saying sometimes you have to take risks to support one another for a good cause. We have seen how the my sister Nados and Professor have gone out of their way. Even at the last minute when the Professor was not well, he still took a risk and came and showed us that we have to be committed to supporting good causes. We also learned to keep, you have to keep your vision, follow your vision in spite of challenges. When we were having problems at the school with the IFC loans, some of our friends said, well, you're sitting on a piece of land here. Why don't you just convert it into flats or apartments so that you can pay off your loan and enjoy the balance of the money? But we said, no, in spite of the challenges, our focus and our vision was to give children good and quality education. And so we needed to go through the challenges just for the sake of making sure that our vision was not lost. We also say, I learned we need to keep to our values. In spite of the difficulties of sometimes focusing on our values or upholding them when things are not easy, like now we are going through a tough time, but we still have to maintain and keep the value systems that we were brought up with. Values of honesty, values of integrity, and values of being each other's keeper. At McKinney, we had a motto, fanya kwa makini, work with diligence and integrity. That is a bit of my story. But the last part I just want to say, because Teddy brought up this about my sister who is also a widow. I have found that widows in Africa go through a hard time. They lose their identity when their husbands die. Sometimes they lose everything to relatives. And so I'm working together with other widows to see how we can help widows. I went through a very hard time when my husband died. He died in a car accident under mysterious circumstances. And I wanted to know the truth about the car accident. The police book said he had caused the accident. On the scene of the accident, it was not possible that he would have done it. So I went into court. We had to go to court, and it was a long, expensive, and protracted court case. But by the grace of God, the truth came out. So I'm saying this to encourage widows that sometimes you may have to go through very difficult circumstances to get to the place of truth, to get to the place where you can come, you can have peace with yourself when the challenges are very much against you. My case is long, but I will end there by thanking all of you for the good things you are doing for women, for children, and especially the youth. I'm very encouraged when I see people like Francis here, Diana, Raquel, and all of you who are doing what you are doing to improve the quality of life, to move us to the next level. Finally, I cannot thank you enough, my sister, Madame Nados, for what you have done for all of us and for humanity. Thank you again all. Thank you, Strathmore University, and the sponsors and as trustees of Abutei for the wonderful work you are doing. May God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you
so
very
much. Thank you.
Over to you, Chair Dr. Sabini, maybe to give some thanks to.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Okello. Thank you for that profound testimonial, and just letting us know how it's never easy, but it always, when people look at you and as an accomplished person, as someone admirable who has achieved in society, has done a lot, they don't know the details, they don't know the pains, they don't know but thank you for letting us know the experience is not easy, but you have been able to walk that journey, and you have lessons that you are now proud to pass on to the coming generations. It is important that we have mentioned even some of the challenges that people just sometimes don't like to share. For example, how you had to resign in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to escape, a predator, and so on. And these are things that young girls, these days they really have to fight, and it's never easy. It's good for them to hear someone who has done a brave thing to just say, no, I'll keep my values. I will not go down with this. And so we thank you so much for what you've shared. I believe that we have all taken good lessons from this, including taking risks, borrowing money, and being able to start a school when they may not have been even other examples at those days to follow, but you did that. And fighting all the way to this day. Thank you so much. I believe this was so befitting for Abtei, that is in this journey. It is to really keep going and to say that we will not let down Professor's vision. So we thank you so much. I'll stop there and say, may God bless you and the work that you're doing, including the founding of Kenya Women Finance Trust that has gone on to be a great success. Many people don't know the link between you and that institution. So thank you for letting us know again today. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Chair Sambili, and for the inspiring words, both from Dr. Mary Okello, as well as the remarks welcoming her from Madam Nados and yourself, thanking her, Dr. Sambili. And with that, we have come to the tail end of the program. I request Abigail and Angela to be on standby to give the overall vote of thanks. My role is just to talk about the way forward. I'll request Diana, if you're able to project the PowerPoint. There are two I had sent. Kindly use the second version. As I give my remarks discussing the way forward as Angela and Abigail speak, we wanted to share with you 5 years ago, this past January 20th. There's actually a slightly updated version, Favor. I think we can go with this one for now. You'll see if if you can use the slightly updated one. In the meantime, we can just freeze on this one. This was when we were all gathered at Strathmore, January 2016. At the launch of UPTE, you can see Professor Babatunde there. The next one is a photo of the trustees, the inaugural trustees. And Favor, you can scroll through. When you do the later version, there's one that talks about 2018 to 2020. Some of the things that happened through with AFLI, we had a report launch, and then we also had the coming together of AYTP last year. And you can see the flyer today. I've also taken screenshots. We've taken screenshots of today's event. So when you see that entire presentation, you will see that this is a continuing journey, and we look forward to being together for the long haul. So with that, I'd like to welcome Angela and Abigail just to do the overall vote of thanks and bring our program to a close. We hope to have future similar programming. Visit our websites, upte-africa.org and aytpafrica.org. Today's event and some of the promises we've made, you'll see them there. And we are hoping finally with this relaunch, with this coming back into action, you'll see a lot of things happening. So over to you, Angela and Abigail, as Favor tries to put up the updated version of this.
Thank you, Martin. This is Abigail Thomas. Hello, everyone. I'd firstly like to apologize that I'm not able to turn on my camera. I'm struggling with some internet issues, but I'm so grateful to join you all here today in celebration of UPTE and the legacy of my father, Professor Adebisi Babatunde Thomas. On behalf of all my siblings, I'd like to share my thanks to everyone for gathering here today. Thank you so much, Dr. Okello, for your powerful and heartfelt keynote message. Rosemary Okello, thank you for your vote of thanks. A special thank you to our UPTE family, Professor Sambili, and all UPTE board members, especially and in particular our brothers Martin and Teddy. Thank you to our wonderful and brilliant big sister, Katra. We know you're here today. Thank you for your continued support. And thank you to Dr. Asfau as well, our supporting uncle who is here with us today too. Lastly, thank you for the incredible presentations and work that was shared with us this morning from the AYTP team, young entrepreneurs, Miss Mercy, and all the students who shared their beautiful and powerful poems. Thank you so much. We are very appreciative and endlessly inspired by you. Thank you once again to everyone for attending today, sharing your words, support, and messages on such a notable day. Thank you.
Thank you, Abigail. And I believe we have your photo from January 20th. When we go back and we look at the group photo, you were there with us on that day, and it's absolutely nice to hear from you and have you today. I don't know if Angela will also be able to speak. Arsema, if not, and Arsema may have logged off. But Abigail, we thank you for those vote of thanks. Um, so maybe Ma Nados, if you're there, we'll just ask you to give us the final word. Just wish us goodbye as we wrap up today's event. An absolute delight, and thank you everybody. Katra, I was saving the best for last. You have been that quiet, very, very effective driver behind the scenes. Thank you for yet another great event we are doing together, and we know we'll take this journey together as we move up from height to height. Ma, over to you to close up for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In the world of protocol, once the seniors have talked, and that is, I look up to Dr. Sambili, who is here. You are not supposed to talk, so but because you've given me this opportunity, I would once again want to thank profoundly, the APTE members, especially the leadership of Professor Sambili, and you, my children, my sons, and my daughter here, who is there, Katra, but you, Martin, and Teddy, you've been really selfless in carrying out the legacy, and helping Professor Sambili in making sure that the vision that we embarked on 5 years ago becomes a reality. We thank you very much for all what has been done to date, but we thank you also for all the foresighted planning that you put forth to us during our last encounter just 2 weeks ago, to see APTE grow and expand. Thank you very much, Martin, and thank you very much, Teddy. Teddy, your messages, and when you were speaking, and introducing the young, aspiring, hopeful children to us through expression of poems was just so touching. It was so touching to see even a child who has encountered, who has challenges and encountered difficulties, could thrive and strive to be better. And that is, God's own message to us. Difficulties are there for us to surmount them. Difficulties are not there to suppress us. So being independent and in a way conquering dependence and despondence is very critical, and that is really the core principle and value of the APTE. And I want to thank you for making sure that this is really exemplified through examples, living examples of our young ones. And thank you very much for this also visionary, the African Youth Trading forum that you have established. And this is just very inspiring. I would like to lend my support to it, and I would like to be part of it. And like I said, beginning of next year, myself and Professor Sambili, we were just plotting of what the future will be for me. And you have already laid the foundation and the ground, and I will embark on what you have been doing here on APTE and be part of you actively participating in moving the agenda we set, and we targeted 5 years ago. Thank you very much for all your support, and thank you, from the entire family of my husband, from those that are in the States, my children in the States that were not able to attend this function, But the young ones, represented by Abigail, who just expressed their vote of thanks, but also the family from Nigeria and Ethiopia. I just want to say, thank you very much, and God bless you for all what you're doing. Like we keep on saying, we are family, all scattered all over the place. God has created us as his children, and we are all the children of God, and therefore united as a family. And we thank God for that. And we thank God for that. Thank you very much, my dear sister, precious sister, Dr. Okello. You are really an inspiring leader. And thanks for leading us, into light, taking us always out from the darkness of being a widow to giving us light and hope. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all your support, and God bless you. And see you in January with the program, that Professor Sambili and his team, Martin and Teddy promised a better program with substantive things of showcasing APTE, and also projecting what APTE has to offer in the future. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, Natas.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Chair. I think the final request is we can all turn on our cameras and just wave and say goodbye and say Babatunde, a man of action. Professor Babatunde, a man of action,
Yes.
the theme of today's activity. And the team is going to put in gallery mode and take our photo. So let's briefly, everybody turn on, wave goodbye. Professor Babatunde, a man of action. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you. Son of the Nile.
Where is
Great
the
to see you, man. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody. That marks the end of our event today. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and your weekend. See you in January 2022.
Thank you.